Mr. Kithmin WIckramasinghe. He has received his bachelor's degree from University of Moratuwa in 2020 and is currently working as a lecturer at University of Moratuwa. His undergraduate thesis is on designing a cost-effective dry contact SEMG sensor system for controlling bionic hand. This was awarded the Merit Award at Manamperi Award in Engineering in 2020 for SLAS Most Outstanding Undergraduate Final Year Project. The many design projects and research work he has been involved in have been recognized at prestigious international events. He has also engaged in research internship in artificial intelligence R&D team in Teleexistence in Tokyo, Japan. So today he is going to do a practical demonstration, practical data capturing session using the Shimmer IMU system. Over to you, Mr. WIckramasinghe.
Thank you very much, Dr. Noelin. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll get started with sharing my screen. I'd like to thank the organizing committee and especially Dr. Pujita, who is my teacher from the 4 years I spent at the Department of Electronic and Telecommunication Engineering. So I'm from the 4th batch of biomedical engineers body produced by our department. And I had the privilege to work with Dr. Pujita as his teaching assistant during the last year when I was working as a junior lecturer. So today I want to sort of go through a few things I learned during my teaching experience, and especially on practical motion data capturing. So I know most of you have, give me a moment. So I know most of you have been listening to a lot of research as well as things in the space of motion capturing and gait analysis. Let's sort of take a detour and go into some like practical aspects without a lot of technical details, but things that you could like learn, and things that you should know about to sort of work in this space if you're concerned about practical motion data capturing using IMU. So when we are going into this topic, I would like to first of all recall the excellent and like well-balanced session that was presented by Dr. Oren as our keynote speaker. And in that, he sort of highlighted some aspects that are like required to perform motion capturing, like the full end-to-end system. And in that, I've highlighted sort of the three areas that we need to understand and to like figure out how to implement those things. So collection, using some sort of form of data collection systems, and then the analysis that is done by softwares and other methods, where Sinthuja also presented some techniques that don't use sensors, like in the absence of sensors, as well as interpretation, where you get the first two sections done, and then you have to sort of interpret something that is useful or valuable in this space of gait analysis and for the clinical rehabilitation and sports. So today's task is about affordable motion capturing for gait analysis, and I'm focusing on the word affordable because that is the entire focus of this workshop as well. And here we need to sort of find out some practical way on how to collect motion data and then analyze the motion data of the lower limb, that is say your left leg, during the gait cycle. So this is a gait cycle. As you can see, the entire the phases of the gait cycle is presented, and this entire cycle from the right initial contact to the right initial contact of this point signifies that one cycle. And you can get these kinds of graphs for the ankle, knee, hip angle, and other parameters you can assess from such a recorded session. Now, when you are going to do this motion capturing, you need the system. That is the first point. And when we discussed in the previous sections about these systems, Dr. Oren presented a few famous systems, as well as Mr. Sanjay also presented something that we have come up with in Sri Lanka itself, and that's a huge achievement, and that is the WalkSense gait analysis system. And as you can see, this one is completely usable IMU based mocap system for gait analysis. And this I'll sort of tell you why this system is quite important in the end of my session as well. Now, when you come into this problem, Dr. Oren very clearly outlined that the problems that are presented that give us the need to come up with affordable solutions. The vision-based systems that are out there are quite accurate. And he showed us some examples as well as a small cost comparison. So even though they're accurate, they're extremely costly. The entire system would go up more than 100,000 Australian dollars, such as the WIckramasinghe system and a few other systems like that. So the advantage of the IMU sensors is that they are far more affordable, and they can be used in outdoor environments much more efficiently than the vision-based systems. And the accuracy of the IMU data that you record from such a system, it's always depending on the quality of the hardware that you are using. So in this practical session, we are going to use the Shimmer 3 consensus, the IMU development kit. And it is quite, from my experience, it's quite a well designed and quite efficient system for data motion capturing. Now, let's go. I think I've shared the practical session, the handout in the chat, and I hope all of you were able to download it. So let's actually go through the practical handout and see sort of an end-to-end situation where we can record motion capture data from one gait cycle. So this is the handout. I'll quickly share the link again if someone is unable to. Right. So this is the handout, and in this handout, we sort of have a small introduction into the importance of affordable motion capturing based IMU systems. And I've already covered these particular aspects. And as I outlined, today's task will be to capture motion data from the lower limb during a gait cycle. Now, I have sort of outlined a step-by-step process and of how you go from the A to B, that is how you get the data collected and recorded and then go into analysis. Now, in this step-by-step process, you can sort of ask if you have any questions regarding different situations. This is entirely based on the Shimmer system. This entire handout is based on Shimmer system, but I think the concepts would definitely be able to be sort of transferred between different kinds of IMU-based systems. Even the WalkSense system would definitely have most of these steps involved. So step one is location preparation. So you need to have a good location available that allows you to move through 3 gait cycles. So approximately 6.5 meters apart for the normal average human being would be enough. Now you can actually mark the start and end points as well for your walk-in trials. So this is okay. So once you go through step 1, you've done that. Now you can open your Shimmer kit up, and you will find these sensors. I'm not sure if it will have all of these, like it depends on what you order. So we had in the SEBI, this system is available, and they have few of these IMU sensors ready to go. And this is the dock and the charger and the other USB wires. Now, since we are working with the lower limbs, we and specifically the left leg in this situation, we will be using only 4 sensors. So each sensor has its own Bluetooth ID. So those are sort of hard-coded into the sensors, and you can sort of tag those IDs outside for convenience, and you can mark your sensors in this manner. So we are using the reference that is going to the waist, the left hip, the left knee sensor, and the left foot sensor. So there are 4 sensors in total, and all of them are, I think, if you can see here, they are 9 degrees of freedom sensors. So they have a accelerometer, a gyroscope, and a magnetometer. Those are giving different kinds of data from each of the locations that the sensor is attached to, which is commonly the joint data. Now, right. Now, once you turn the sensor on, there's a sort of an orange color slide switch. When you turn it on, you will get this green color button, green color light that is indicating that it's turned on. And after you turn on all the sensors, you have to connect the sensors to the sensor dock. So these have sort of a connector that clips in the sensor, and you can see that all these docks are shining in orange color. That indicates that the sensors are connected, they're getting power, and also they are being recharged. So it's convenient that you can program the sensor while actually charging the sensors. Now, I think Dr. Oren actually mentioned about these affordability of both the sensors and the softwares. And I think in this case, the software that comes with the system, the Shimmer system called the Conscientious Pro, is such a like professional but expensive software, and it's quite quite efficient in terms of usability. And we'll sort of go through what it allows us to do. So once you have your sensors docked, you can see that the Shimmer system is detecting all the sensors that you have connected and indicating that the battery percentage is 100%, and also the Bluetooth ID that we mentioned can be seen here. And it's also showing that the sensor is correctly connected with this right, the tick mark. If it is not connected, it will show this gray color mentioning its pending connection, and it will take a few seconds from that moment to get docked. And in this GUI, you can see that there's 3 sections for managing devices, live data, and managing data. And as it mentions, this first tab is to manage configuring your devices and calibrating and preparing them. Then you can get the data out of it while you're recording and everything. And then afterwards, you can get the recorded data saved to your computer via the software. So firstly, if you go through the manage devices section, you will see when you're like preparing your IMU sensors for motion capturing, you have to configure them. you have to make sure that the settings of the sensors are correctly mentioned. So in those kinds of situations, you have to make sure that the required data is enabled. So accelerometer, gyroscope, magnetometer, you can see that all those three sensors, the 9 degrees of freedom of the sensor are properly sending the data out. As well as this also was mentioned previously, 256 or 512 sampling rate is adequate for both EMG and IMU data recording. So I have set it at 512 since we are recording EMG data, and we will be recording the samples at this rate. But as Mr. Sanjay mentioned, when you have more sensors, when the number of sensors increases, then the sampling rate will get affected. So there's always a trade-off between, like in Bluetooth, when you're using more sensors to maintain higher sampling rates, so that those kinds of things can be solved in the future. And one special thing is when it comes to IMU, I think this was also mentioned by Dr. Oren, that in the IMU situations, the challenge is not with regards to getting the data, but it's and the hardware. It's with regards to the signal processing. So we have to make sure that the data is clean and that the signals are correctly filtered, and all proper processing has been done on the signals, as well as possible machine learning based integrations can also be included in these things. Now, when you consider about the Shimmer system, there are two specific signal processing steps that you can use. That is the gyro on the fly calibration, which you can activate by going to algorithms and then going here, and then the 9 degrees of freedom wide range quaternions, so that the system is providing the data in the required format that we need. And one additional signal processing step that you can take for the sensor that is recording EMG. There's a sensor that we are using to record EMG, and for that one we can activate the EMG processing algorithms for channel 1 and 2. So that I think that this one is going to ensure that we get data which is within the EMG frequency range, and sort of filtering out any other unrequired frequencies. Now, once you're confident with the configuration that you chose to do the motion data capturing, and this has to be sort of verified every time that you work with IMU systems, then you have to write config, press write config, which will sort of transfer your the configurations into your sensors, and then you are sure that your sensors have been successfully set up and they're ready to be connected for data streaming, that is getting the data into the computer. And in these situations, I would noted about possible connection failures due to Bluetooth issues. You just so Bluetooth the Bluetooth protocol has sort of issues, so maybe turning on and off will solve some things. Otherwise, reconnecting, you can press this button to manually connect, and things like that are possible. So once you get everything working, you will see that the blue color LEDs are now lighted up, which means there's stable connection between all the sensors. There's a stable Bluetooth connection between all the sensors and the computer. So this is actually connecting to the computer's Bluetooth. So it's not the hub that it's connecting to, it's connecting to the computer. So here you can see the undocked Shimmer sensor is now running on its own battery power, and it's ready to record data. And one way you can test this is you just you can in the Shimmer system you can use this the green play button. If you just press this button, then the sensor will start to send data, and you can see here that I have activated the gyroscope here, and the sensor is sending. So I'm just moving the sensor in my hand here and there, and the sensor is responding by recording the angle that it is turned into. So that's what the gyro data is showing. So the orientation of the sensor is being recorded in a successful manner, and it's a live data stream. So as you can see, your sensors are ready to transmit data, and you can activate all 4 sensors simultaneously and record data from all 4 sensors. So there's a small part about configuring the EMG sensor. This one actually I won't be going into detail because it's sort of there's a background behind so EMG data for this. EMG is signal acquisition, but I have sort of outlined the necessary considerations and things that you should do and should not do with regards to capturing EMG data. However, for the next step, we will be doing the following. That is, we are going to start data collection, but we are going to repeat the entire process of data collection for each subject 3 times. So there are going to be 3 trials for the person who is going to collect the data, because we want to sort of get the average gait cycle using 3 trials to just to see whether there's a better data representation. Now, when we start to prepare the sensors to connect to the body, we can use these kinds of elastic straps, and we have to make sure that the correct sensors are placed inside the correct straps. So the big strap around the waist needs to hold the waist sensor, while the little strap that goes around the foot needs to hold the foot sensor. So that's the order, and you can connect the sensors in this manner. That is, this one goes to the waist, and then these 3 sensors goes on the left leg. And I'll just show you the diagram. So here we go. So this is the waist sensor connected to the waist, and then the 3 sensors that are sort of connected. This one is connected below the hip, this one is connected below the knee, and this one is connected below the ankle. Right. And also you have to consider the orientation of the sensor as well. You have to place the sensors in the correct orientation. That is, the holes of the sensor need to be facing upward, while there's a orange colored dot on the sensor which has to be facing downward and in the correct orientation. This is a very important consideration with regards to IMU data capturing. The sensors have to be in the right orientation, which sort of is a predetermined fact with regards to the sensor system. And you can also connect the EMG acquisition electrodes in this manner. So this here the electrodes are sort of recording the data from 2 different muscle segments. That is the gastrocnemius muscle and the peroneus longus muscle. So the back one is channel 1 and the front one is channel 2 in that manner. And once you are ready with your data, all the connections and the live streaming is okay, you can start the walking trial, and you can turn on your recording, and you can start recording your data. And once you just have to press the start button and then press stop to PC to end the one, and you just have to repeat it 3 times. and you will like start to see this kind of nice data being recorded from the pattern data being recorded from the gyroscopes and other sensors of the IMU. Once you're okay with the data, you can go to the manage data, and you can actually save your trials in this manner. And here you can see that I have 13 files, actually 12 by 12 Excel files are there. That is 3 trials with there are 4 sensors and 3 trials, so 3 into 4 is 12. So you can see that 12 sensor data files have been produced for one each for the 3 sessions. Right. So I think that sort of covered a sort of a practical aspect of how to get motion capture, motion data from a IMU system in a practical manner. And I think you guys will have more questions on this. So we'll go get to those in a few. So I'll just quickly go through the rest of my presentation. So since we did the practical aspect, now we are left with, okay, there's a small video here. So you can see the person wearing the sensors doing one trial, one gait cycle, sorry, 3 gait cycles, and then we are going to record. Actually, we have captured 5 gait cycles, and we are going to use MATLAB to sort of get those Excel files plotted in this manner. So the thing here is that MATLAB is a sort of a programming language, and not everyone might be versed with using this one. But for those who most of you know, you can just use the data set, and then you can get these kinds of the left knee angle, or then you can plot 3 sessions on top of each other for the knee angles, and then you can compare these kinds of variations in the knee angles during each of the sessions. And also from this one, you can get the average plot of the knee angles, and it's sort of compared with the standard knee angle variation figure that is available from this link. So that's sort of end-to-end of the motion capturing aspect, and the some gait analysis, and also the EMG recording was also analyzed, and sort of MATLAB helped to put it into context like this. So the 2 different channels can be seen activated at the different situations with regards to that, and you can also coincide the gait cycle with the EMG data, and you can sort of understand that which of the necessary muscles are activating during the gait cycle. So it's a very small practical, but it's quite interesting how you get it done. And after doing the data collection, say for someone who wants to do the analysis themselves, is there any possibility of doing that by yourself? Yes, so there's actually this open source software called OpenSync, and they have a workflow called OpenSense, which is freely available. You can actually go and download it, and you can, if you have motion capture data set, you can get into analyzing it. So I'll quickly show you what is there behind something that like what it takes to analyze this all this motion data when you use IMU system. So quickly, if you see here, you need to have in the system and a model as well as data, model and data that is from the IMU system. And in the next one, you need to have a system to import the data and sort of break down the data into its different parameters, sort of called passing the data. And once you pass the data, you can sort of go into this calibration phase where you are going to connect these two things together. You're going to calibrate your data into your model and make sure that everything is sort of like registered properly. And then you come up with a calibrated model that is going to respond to your data. And the last step is computing the IK, which is called inverse kinematics. That is the sort of the mathematical process that needs to be undergone in order to make the model move with response to the data that you collected, so that you can visualize the motions that happen in real on your computer. So once you're done with everything, you will actually see this kind of visualization where your model is sort of replicating that data on a simulation of a model. So right. So that was how OpenSense was made. And if you see here, I'm using 3 MATLAB scripts to work on the OpenSense workflow. And the 3 steps, the important steps was the data importing, calibration, and then the inverse kinematics calculations. And you can see that there are multiple files that are being generated in the background when you're going to do this kind of practical analysis session. And this last file, the IK results, is the motion file that gets generated that is producing the movement you saw in the video earlier. And here you can see OpenSim software, and you can sort of use the functionalities of it. And you can see that the model is responding simultaneously or with coincidence to the motion of the graphs, right? Sort of this is the knee angle variation, and there's a coincidence between how the model is responding and how the knee angle variation is working. So you can come up to this level of analysis for your gait data when you understand this entire workflow. And you can also actually go further with different kinds of interpretations using these kinds of tools. And I haven't done this particular section, but there are many researchers that are going up to this level of complexity when it comes to motion capturing using IMU systems. Now the important thing is, this is my last slide, and the important thing is if you saw everything that was involved, the open source methods are very tedious, very you need knowledge of a lot of aspects in order to do that, software engineering knowledge and coding, and maybe different kinds of knowledge in order to get this entire end-to-end thing done. But the good thing about having these softwares, the affordable, off-the-shelf, and all-in-one packed softwares, such as the WalkSense system that Mr. Sanjay presented, is that you can, for clinicians and other users who are not versed in everything that I showed you in the practical aspect, they can also do this very efficiently and very easily. And that's what we need to develop. And I think the SEBI and the entire team there is doing a great job in this aspect. And the last slide actually is sort of the future of this entire motion capturing domain using the IMU sensor systems. And this is just one paper I found that was from October 2020. And maybe there are much more of them, but just to show you an example. So this is a self-supervised learning implementation for predicting or inferencing the motion using these kinds of IMU sensors, and they're using like deep learning networks such as the SEQ to SEQ network, or even the transformers have also been demonstrated in this paper to do the full body or the lower body predictions using lesser number of sensors. So that's very modern and very there's a very good direction that this work is heading in. So I think that comes to the end of my session. And yes, please, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Thank you, Mr. Wickramasinghe.